Hello friends, it's been a while since we talked about our long-term Cayenne. And you may be wondering, where the heck's the update been? Why has it been so long? And I'll tell you really honestly, it's about the fact that I wanted to have something to share. I didn't want to just do another video about this Cayenne where it's great, and it runs, and nothing's broken, and we have no problems, and thanks for watching. Not that I wanted problems, you understand, but I wanted to be able to have a story to share. We've had this car a little over 3 years. We bought it at 64,000 miles. My wife is in love with it. It's a 2010 Cayenne. This is the base V6, and it has just run. We've got a full cut-to-fit cover on the back seat that came from our sponsor, Covercraft. It's fantastic. Why I didn't put that on when I first had a toddler and a dog is beyond me. It's probably because I didn't know about it. Now I have one, and the dog is ancient and my son isn't as messy, but we still have it back there, and it's great. Right about the first of the year, 2018, we rolled over 100,000 miles. I thought about doing a video then, except it was just a number that rolled by with no issues. We're just under 106,000 miles on this car, which means we've owned it for just over 40,000 miles. And in the past week, we've had our first major unexpected issue. My wife calls me and she says, there's something wrong with my car, which is not a phone call you want to get. She tries to explain what it is, but from her perspective, the car is broken and she's injuring it to keep driving it. So I got home and I drove it, and I heard this terrible thump right here in the center console. That's fun, huh? It happened under any kind of acceleration. So under load, it would do that terrible thump. Some people describe it as some sort of elf living in the center console and beating on the inside with a hammer. What it is, of course, is your drive shaft. So I looked it up, and yep, it's a known issue with these Cayennes. Generally, it happens somewhere between 100 and 110,000 miles. If you're following along with the story, now is the time. You can look online if you're a DIY. You can find other ways to solve this problem. Some guys just put in the center bearing. I saw one fix where it was taking sections of hose and zip ties and making what almost seems like heavy-duty bubble wrap around the moving bearing, and so you kind of solve your problem. But this is my wife's car. She wants to keep it for a few more years yet. So I thought, all right, we need to get this done right. I talked to Bob about it. He said, I can replace the center knuckle, sure. But generally, the drive shaft itself is wearing out and cinching on that knuckle, which is why the knuckle wears out. His recommendation, the whole drive shaft. Now, I trust Bob. That was going to be a lot more expensive, but I know that generally when he suggests something, it's for the longer life of the car. So, $1,300 later, I can only imagine what the dealer would have charged. I have a brand new drive shaft in our 105,000 mile Cayenne. Now, no transmission problems, no issues. The drive shaft is the weak link. That's now been solved. Bob showed me the entire drive shaft he pulled out of the car, and yep, the entire thing was done, not just the knuckle. So with this worn out drive shaft knuckle, that is essentially the first ever unplanned service we have done for this car in more than 3 years of ownership and 40,000 miles. Our next major service is going to be that 120,000 mile service. That, of course, we're planning for. I'm expecting at that point, besides plugs and the typical stuff, we will probably end up having to do brakes on all four corners again. But we're still a year away from needing that service. My conclusion here remains the same. This car is just reliable, and it happens to be genuinely fun to drive. Yes, it's a 5,000-pound SUV. Yes, we have roughly 300 horsepower. This is not the rocket ship of the Porsche Cayenne lineup, but it's more powerful and faster than the GMC Acadia we had before, and than a lot of these big 5-seat SUVs. It's far more dynamic. Long, sweeping corners on a freeway. The Cayenne just excels. It doesn't feel nearly as big as it actually is, and it's just a lot of information about what it's doing, so it's very confidence-inspiring. So next up, Apple CarPlay. That needs to get solved. Of course, if there's any surprising changes in this car, I will let you know. But the thing that keeps getting proven about this Cayenne is that if you don't buy the really early ones, and I mean the 03s to 06s, you've got to get 08 and up. They didn't even make them in 07. Get the 08s and up. From then on, I suspect it's going to be a pretty reliable car. At around 100,000 miles, a lot of cars have major things that just wear out. All of this to say, if you're considering getting a used Porsche Cayenne, and they are affordable, I highly recommend it. I don't recommend you buy the turbos or the Turbo S. Buy something middle of the range, GTS and down. The GTS are great. Some of the GTS you can get with a manual transmission if you want to go that far. To have a car with this many years of really good driving and only one surprise thing to do, I'll take those odds. I'll take those odds on any car. And on this one, it's also a German performance car. That's worth doing. Absolutely. So thanks for watching, and if you have any other questions on Cayenne's long-term ownership, the stuff we've discovered in having this car for years now in the higher mileage, feel free to send questions below in the comments. Also, you can write to us on any of the social media channels because we do a podcast twice a week. Every podcast we take listener questions. So you certainly could write in there and we'll answer on the podcast maybe faster than we'll even answer here.